28 years of being here in Connecticut, being active and coming up to the Capitol for various different causes. I've never been here at 4 a.m., so bear with me. I'm going to talk about Merck, the makers of Vioxx. Merck, the manufacturers of Verifax. They're being Merck. The Merck Verifax vaccine injured my child. I'm not anti-vaccine. My children were vaccinated. Okay? Not with all the vaccines. I decided with my family and my doctor which vaccines were right for us. So we did the chickenpox vaccine, the greatest regret, right? So Merck is being sued for fraud for Zostafax. That's the adult shingles vaccine. Zostafax is not covered under the 1986 Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. Zostafax is about to be taken off the market as hundreds of people sue Merck. My child was injured by a Merck vaccine. I just want you to hear that. Merck, the makers of Vioxx. Why on earth would you force your constituents by withholding a public education from their children and force them to take a product from a company like Merck? Let me also just say this. Merck is being sued for fraud for the mumps portion of the MMR. There are over 11,000 outbreaks and cases of mumps in this country. Go look on the CDC website. There was just some mumps cases here in Connecticut. Where is the media? Where is the outrage? What laws we need are to rein in the pharmaceutical companies. What laws we need is choice with vaccines, because if you pass this law, you're going to force us or have our children be taken out of school because there's no other place to get the measles vaccine. What if we don't want the rubella portion, like someone else said here earlier? What if we don't want the mumps because it's fraudulent? 2 virologists have whistleblower protection. This court case has been going on since 2009. Go try and read about it because they have it all locked up legally, right? But it's happening, and it was just proceeding forward. Lots of discovery going on. This is what tort law does. Tort law protects us from bad products and bad companies, like Merck, the makers of Vioxx. Merck, the makers of Zostafax. They're being sued for fraud for Gardasil. They're being sued for vaccine injury for Zostafax. They're being sued for fraud for the mumps portion of the MMR. Merck, the makers of Vioxx. Why would you put your constituents in a position to either forego a public education, which is a right? We are the Constitution state. I love Connecticut. I'm going to stay here and fight, but my husband and I talk often about leaving this state if this continues.
I'm going to have to stop.
Thank you. I appreciate all of you for being here. I want to say just this one last thing, okay? I've been following many of the states with this legislation happening. I want to say that I'm so thankful to all of you, even the ones that I've interacted with that I don't agree with. I just want to say thank you because you're all here. I want to say thank you for allowing us to testify because in California they didn't. Thank you. Please kill this bill.
Are there any?
So that was my testimony last February for HB 5044, which was the bill to eliminate Connecticut's religious exemption to vaccination, specifically for public school children in public and private schools, actually. So we're coming up on our legislation 2021, and I want to get into HB 5044, where that's going, where it's been, and what's happening. So lots going on here in Connecticut as we get ready to start our legislative season. And I have some really bad news about that I'm very upset about, is the People's House is going to be closed. So my understanding is that we will not be able to go and testify as we have in the past, where we could go up to the Capitol. And for HB 5044, that was an historic hearing where testimony, thousands of people showed up. It was absolutely amazing to be a part of that day. It was a day in history in Connecticut. Thousands of people showed up. Testimony went on for 23 and a half hours. That testimony that you saw me give was at 4 a.m. It was pretty surreal to be up in the Capitol building. We were there from the morning until I think I just had to go home at about 5 a.m. I just needed to get home and get some rest. And people, when I came home, I was continuing to watch more of the testimony, and there were people there testifying at 6 a.m. It was absolutely a spectacular thing. So after that hearing, the Public Health Committee met not like a few days later, not very long, maybe it was a week. It wasn't a very long period of time. It might have just been the weekend, a few days. So HB 5044 was voted out of committee. So what that means is that this bill is proceeding with our incoming House Speaker, Matthew Ritter, who just changed up the Public Health Committee and took off the 2 Democrats that voted against eliminating the religious exemption to vaccination. Matthew Ritter took those 2 legislators off of the Public Health Committee and put Josh Elliott, and there's another person that he put in his place, but I'm just focused on Josh Elliott right now because, he's a big proponent of vaccine mandates. In fact, I have a video that I'm going to share with you that I posted to Facebook earlier today. Before I get into the video of Josh, I just wanted to share with you a couple of things here. Oh, I've been censored off of Twitter today for talking about biologics. I'm going to call it biologics. This is probably going to get my video flagged and probably get me censored on Facebook, but we really need to branch out and reach out to each other. I should have put that in my show notes, all the places that you can find me. I'm still on YouTube. I'm still on Facebook for now. I'm not permanently kicked off of Twitter yet, but at the rate I'm going, it's a very real possibility that could happen because I'm not going to stop. Censorship is a terrible thing, and I think we need to have a conversation about these things. So this is so Matthew Ritter is a partner at Shipman and Goodman. In fact, let me go over here instead of taking you onto the Facebook first. Let me start with Matthew Ritter here. Let me just bring you on to him. This is just a cheesy Wikipedia, but for convenience sake, to take a look at Matthew Ritter, that he is the incoming House Speaker. He is so politically connected in the state of Connecticut. His father and his mother is a Supreme Court judge. His father, let me just blow this up for you guys so you could take a look at it too. Bear with me here as I get it blown up and shifted around a little bit. It might be hard for you guys to look at that with me. All right, so here he is. This is Matthew Ritter, in case you've never seen him before. So his father was House Speaker and is also a big lobbyist in a major law firm. His mother is Kathleen Keller, and she is on the Supreme Court. So Matthew Ritter is also a partner at Shipman and Goodman. So here, let me take you right over here. This is Shipman and Goodman, and this is a law firm that is, this is an international law firm, guys. This is a big dang deal. This is Shipman and Goodman, and man alive, when you go through their website, their website is in my show notes. You could really take a peek about what Shipman and Goodman is all about. Now, Matthew Ritter in 2007 was made partner at Shipman and Goodman. He's been there and he's, a high ranker because he is a partner there at Shipman and Goodman. But some of their goals, and I just want to quote this for you guys. I pulled this quote out of their stuff, and you guys can go look this all up on their website. But some of their goals, what their claim to fame is healthcare and regulatory compliance, okay? Healthcare and regulatory compliance. We provide analysis and counseling on the full range of federal and state regulatory matters, including fraud and abuse, false claims, anti-kickback, self-referral, other statutes, health information, privacy, data security, licensure, credentialing, certificates of need, clinical research, informed consent, competency, and other ethical issues. And so, with approximately 160 attorneys in offices throughout Connecticut, New York, and Washington, D.C., we serve the needs of local, regional, national, and international clients. Our clients include public and private companies, institutions, government entities, nonprofit organizations, and individuals. So, the House Speaker of Connecticut, Matthew Ritter, has stacked the Public Health Committee with legislators that are friendly to the cause. He has been working on eliminating the religious exemption to vaccination for a while. In fact, he's told activists about 5 years ago that by 2020, it was going to be a done deal. There would be no more exemptions to vaccinations. They would be mandatory. You would not be able to take an exemption. So right now in Connecticut, there is a religious exemption and a medical exemption for vaccination. So what this means is if you don't want to have your child vaccinated, you have means you can either go medical or religious. Now, the legislators say that this exemption is being abused, which I find ironic. And then it blows me away, too, because Matthew Ritter is a lawyer. And as a lawyer, he should know about the Constitution and what the separation of church and state means, and how no government body or any entity has the ability to tell you what you can and cannot do with your God-given body. And a religion isn't in a box where you have to be part of some religion, okay? That's not how it works. The way it is, if you don't want to do something to your God-given body, that's your religious right to say no. Nobody gets to say, are you a Catholic, a Jewish, are you a Buddhist, or whatever. Those are all organized religions. You don't have to be a part of an organized religion. That's not what the Constitution of the United States says. That's the beauty of our Constitution. There's no thing that says religion is Christianity, religion is Judaism, religion is whatever religion, organized religion you want to speak about. Now, there are many Christians who don't want to get the vaccine. There are many Jewish people who don't want to get the vaccines. There are many agnostic folks who believe in higher power who don't want the vaccines. So how the state of Connecticut could sit there and say you're abusing the religious exemption to vaccination because you don't feel comfortable either taking a vaccine yourself or giving it to your child, and it's your God-given right to make those decisions. So the state has no business making medical decisions for you, period, because there's this thing called informed consent and a Nuremberg Code that grants people the right to say, no, thank you, I don't want to do that. And so with this new legislative body coming in on January 6th, I want to take you here back onto Facebook for a moment and share this with you guys. So there is a big event I want to alert you to that I hope that you can be there, because this is really going to take all hands on deck. And bear with me, I'm a little bit out of order here, but I just wanted to pull this as I'm making you dizzy scrolling through. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Where did it go? Oh, hold on. Here we go. Sorry about that, guys. I don't mean to make you dizzy like that. I promise I won't do that to you again. I get so dizzy with looking at that stuff. So, let me see if I can click on this so you get a full picture of it. Let's see. Is it giving me a full picture? There we go. So you guys can see that here. So basically, there is a rally for medical freedom at the state capitol on January 6th at 9 a.m. So get there early. We can't go in the building. It's really, really important that people show up. You got to show up. And this is so absolutely important. It affects every facet of our lives, because I'm going to show you something really scary after this that is going to motivate every man, woman, and child who wants the medical right to make a decision over what's put into their own body. Because this is right here. It's right at our doorstep. So the People's House is closed. It's closed. We can't go in. We cannot do a typical hearing, but we need to start showing up to the Capitol. We need to be there regularly, in my opinion. But for now, this is what's going to be happening. I will be there early on Wednesday, January 6th, so that's a short while away. Bring your kids, bring your grandma, bring everybody. Dress warm. And be ready, because this is a big deal. And if they take the religious exemption away, that means that Matthew Ritter is going to have the ability to eliminate this religious exemption to vaccination, which he's been wanting to do for a long period of time. So I'm going to take you to, let me close out of this thing over here. Hold on a second. Sorry about that, guys. So I want to take you to, this is Josh Elliott. I'm going to play you a little video. So Josh Elliott replaced one of the Democrats on the Public Health Committee who was in favor, or not in favor. I'm sorry, I misspoke. What I meant to say, so there were two Democrats on the Public Health Committee who voted against the elimination of the vaccine exemption. So, and like I told you, this was a really big hearing here in Connecticut. So he was taken, so the two Democratic legislators were taken off the Public Health Committee, Jack Hennessy and David Michel. Both of them, they were great. They really are, you know, I want to say all people need to break outside of party and look at the individual, not the party, because that is the problem. Don't get stuck on a party, because David Michel and Jack Hennessy are excellent Democrats. They really stood up to their party. They did what they felt was right, and I really respect and appreciate them. And I'm very disappointed that they have been taken off the Public Health Committee by incoming House Speaker Matthew Ritter. So Josh Elliott and Liz Linehan, sorry, that's the other one on the Public Health Committee that's going to be there. Josh Elliott, this is a video of Josh Elliott. I'll do a whole thing. Why did that disappear on me? Sorry about that, guys. Let me get this back for you. Okay, so Josh Elliott is one of the replacements, and Liz Linehan as well. But my focus today is kind of talking about Josh Elliott. I'll do more on her in another video. But Josh Elliott, I wrote a piece today and I posted it on Facebook, just giving a brief history of who Josh Elliott is. And let me share this little video with you guys first. I'm going to share just a little bit of it. We don't necessarily have to play it. It's the whole thing, although we could, because it's only a few minutes long. So this is Josh Elliott in 2018. And what Josh Elliott was doing in 2018 was he was advocating for mandatory Gardasil vaccine, the controversial mandatory Gardasil vaccine. He wants this vaccine to be mandated. Now, the other interesting thing about Josh Elliott, I'm misspeaking here. The other interesting thing about Josh Elliott is, as a kid, his mom decided not to vaccinate him. She made the conscious decision, the informed medical decision with their family and the privacy of their own healthcare provider, and made the decision, you exercised her right not to vaccinate Josh Elliott. As an adult, Josh Elliott decided he wanted all the vaccines, and as is his right, okay? Because for me, I'm not anti-vaccine. I am anti-mandates, okay? I am get the government out of my healthcare. I don't want the government to tell me what medical procedures I have to get to go out into public or to live my life. I am pro-freedom, and I am pro-choice. I am pro-non-mandated medical procedures. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. That is a negative term coined by a PR firm to just kind of marginalize people questioning the safety and efficacy of vaccines, especially mandatory vaccines. Look, if you want to take a pharmaceutical product, that's your conscious choice and your right to do that. So, but it's also your right to say, no, thank you, I don't want that, and not to be ostracized for that or picked on for that or mandated by the government. But let's take a listen to what Josh Elliott thinks about this subject.
Why? So that's the time that generally. Can you just stand back a little bit? It's super distracting. I apologize.
Is it ninth grade and up as well?
I believe so. I believe that's the range.
Okay.
So it's around the time that children start having sex. So we can't stop that, and we know that the rates of it's not transmission. It's about 65% are immunized right now. And so the magical number for herd immunity for HPV is around 80%. And so this is around the time that's important that we get to the children before they start having intercourse.
Why mandate it? Why is it, why do you want it to be a parent's decision? Why mandate it?
Well, so we know that HPV can cause cervical cancer, cancer can cause throat cancer. So the issue right now is that we are not reaching the threshold that we need to reach herd immunity, and that's really what we're trying to do. So without mandating it, we won't hit that level.
Would this mean just public schools, not private, but all public schools?
Correct. It's only mandated for someone who is in a public school, not someone who's homeschooled, not someone who's in a private school or some sort of religious-based school, only public schools.
Okay, and what about those folks who are in the non-vax community, not vaccinating their kids at all? Would they be able to get a go slip to bring their kids to school?
So what we're trying to fight for, and we actually just had a presser on this morning with myself, Representative Linehan, Representative Ritter, the majority leader, was basically to say that we are going to be trying to eliminate the religious exemption. What this would still allow for is people who have an immunocompromised child to not have their child immunized. But for everybody else, there would be no way around it if you're going to send your kid to public school.
And back to the HPV, we met some families today who say after their kids got that HPV vaccine, their life totally changed. They weren't able to talk anymore. Their livelihood was gone. What do you have to say for that?
I would say that what we don't know is whether that would have happened regardless of whether or not they were vaccinated. So the issue is, and this is for Fox 8, you said?
News 8.
News 8? Okay. And so the issue that we're facing is that this is not statistical evidence. This is anecdotal evidence, and we need to be making sure that we're using statistical evidence and not anecdotal evidence. Because whether or not somebody would have had some sort of injury regardless, we don't know because we have no control universe to compare against.
And just talking with parents, do you think there is enough studies on this for it to be mandated? I talked to a woman, she said, all my 4 kids have the HPV vaccine, but I don't think it should be mandated because there's just not enough studies on it. What's your take on it?
I think that we absolutely should be doing this. The CDC, WHO, the federal government, in terms of all the health professionals there, are saying that we're starting to see reduced rates over time. So we want to make sure that people are well informed about this so that we make sure that our kids are vaccinated.
So what's happening today?
It's just a hearing on the HPV vaccine.
Okay,
Yep.
and if it were to pass, how long would it take?
Don't know. We'll see. Don't know. Yep.
Okay, so as you can see here, that's Josh Elliott. And let me just say a couple of facts here about the HPV vaccine. So first of all, HPV is one of the few vaccines where there's currently lawsuits going on right now. So Gardasil is being sued. They're being sued for a vaccine. There's fraud going on and some serious injuries. The Children's Health Defense has written extensively about that, so you can follow them at Children's Health Defense and read more about the HPV vaccine. I'm not going to get into all the details about that, but there is a lot of controversy about this vaccine and many lawsuits that are going to be coming out against this vaccine. There's a couple that are out right now. That's with the Gardasil vaccine and them knowing certain things about the vaccine, hiding that information. Now, those kinds of things. Merck has been sued numerous times and has been convicted of lying and fraud and all that stuff, as all of these pharmaceutical companies have in the past. Merck is the makers of the Gardasil vaccine that Josh Elliott was talking about. And then that video is from 2018. Fortunately, the people rose up and were able to stop that mandate. But he's going to be coming back to try to mandate the Gardasil shot because the state of Connecticut has bought millions of dollars worth of Gardasil. I'll be getting into talking all about these biologic products and giving a bunch of resources to you guys so that you can go and you can research more about this. But the state of Connecticut, all you have to do is look in their budget. You can go through the state of Connecticut budget. You can see how much money they've budgeted for vaccines that the state buys. So the state, just like our government, is buying the COVID vaccine before it's even been approved. The state of Connecticut is buying the HPV vaccine. The state of Connecticut is purchasing, or the federal government is giving the vaccine to the states via like CARES Act and PrEP and all this stuff, but there's money being made. So I don't want to get too caught up into the Gardasil aspect of this. I just wanted you to meet Josh Elliott, who has been newly appointed to the Public Health Committee. Actually, it's now called the Public Health and Safety Committee, and they are going to be in session starting on January 6th. So we love to see you there up in Hartford at the Capitol on January 6th, because these legislators, there's 4 Democrats we need to flip to kill this bill. It's not a new bill yet. I'm not sure how it's going to go out of committee. HB 5044 has left committee. If they'll throw it back into committee because there's some changes that they want to make to it and spit it back out as a brand new bill. Those kinds of things I'm unclear of at this moment. But if you have the bill number and you found that information, please share it with me. I would love to know. So far as I can tell, the bill number isn't out. It still is out of committee as HB 5044, where the legislative body last year had said they were going to grandfather in people who already were using the religious exemption. Matthew Ritter has said he's going to eliminate that. There's going to be no grandfather clause within this new legislation that will repeal the Connecticut Religious Exemption Act. So let me just take you to Shipman and Goodman. So this is Shipman and Goodman. I'm going to pull this up here for you guys. Let me share my screen. Make sure my audio is on. I had audio issues yesterday. I apologize for that. Sometimes it gets a little bit tricky. It looks like I have levels so you guys can hear me. I'm going to screen out a little. I want to blow this up for you and see if I can... Oops, where did that go? Sorry about that, guys. Let me get it back up for you. All right, so basically, this is an article about, and you guys really can't see that, and that's frustrating. It's so dense that you guys can't really see that well. So this is an article, I'll read to you a little bit, and this is in my show notes, so you guys can go and you can check this out yourself. You can read through this, which I think you should. I think you should be all over Shipman and Goodman. And now remember, House Speaker Matt Ritter is a partner at Shipman and Goodman, okay? And in our state of Connecticut, they know that we have issues with conflicts of interest, but one of the things, the excuses made about not making a big deal about conflict of interest in the state of Connecticut is they don't want to turn off viable candidates to run who maybe they're lawyers and lobbying firms that have, a huge hand in how legislation goes and, these important pieces of legislation that affect your life and my life. And these legislators have no oversight. I mean, they say they do, but really, come on, the conflicts are flaring obvious. All right, so this is the company that this is Shipman and Goodman, and Matthew Ritter, our incoming House Speaker, is a partner. So here's a question that is asked on their publication here. It says, with COVID-19 vaccines finally arriving, employers must ask and answer difficult questions. So this week marked a turning point in the COVID-19 pandemic, the arrival of the first vaccines. Yay! So here's a big question right here. Listen to what Shipman and Goodman says. Can we mandate that our employees get vaccinated? Although the EEOC guidance does not explicitly answer that question, it is clear from the guidance that mandatory vaccination programs are permissible under federal law. When and how employers can mandate vaccinations will depend on a variety of factors, including the availability of the vaccine. Employers should be mindful that the current COVID vaccine is approved for emergency use. Full approval is expected in early 2021. What's really important why they're saying that is because I don't know how any employer could tell their employee to take an experimental vaccine that hasn't even been officially licensed by the FDA. An Emergency Usage Authorization Act was given to these companies, in my opinion, fraudulently because they're ignoring other treatments that are out there for COVID-19, and there are many. I'm probably going to get censored for saying that. There are many different viable treatments out there. I implore you to go check out the Great Burlington Declaration. I implore you to check out the High Wire with Del Bigtree, where he does extensive coverage on this very subject. You can also check out Jeffrey Jackson, who's a great journalist who covers this extensively as well. So the fact that the FDA is issuing an EUA for an experimental vaccine never tested before in humans until this year is quite terrifying, in my opinion. So, listen to more of what they say. If we mandate vaccinations, what things should we consider? There are numerous legal issues that can arise through a mandatory vaccination program and precautions employers should take. For example, if an employer requires a vaccine, it must ensure that pre-screening questions are job-related and consistent with business necessity. If an employer has a voluntary vaccination program, any answers to pre-screening disability-related questions must also be voluntary. The ADA requires employees to keep any employee's medical information obtained in the course of the vaccination program confidential, and employers must be mindful of other relevant laws such as Generic Information Non-Discrimination Act, whether to use a third party to administer the vaccine within the workplace or whether employees will be allowed to obtain it on their own and then provide proof of vaccination. There may be legal and practical considerations. Okay, it gets better, guys. This is Shipman and Goodman. Let me just reiterate the importance of why this really matters. Matthew Ritter, who is the representative of the 1st District of Hartford in Connecticut, is incoming House Speaker. It is his personal agenda to eliminate the religious exemption to vaccination, which basically means that nobody in the state of Connecticut will be able to claim any type of vaccination exemption. They will be at the mercy of the state of Connecticut. And as you can see when I'm reading here about employers, this means you adults, that it doesn't even matter. We still have a religious exemption right now, and this is how they're talking, right? So they don't care. They don't care about your rights. But you need to care about your rights, right? Because you're the one that's going to be affected by these legislators and their edicts. Okay, so what if an employee refuses to get vaccinated? The EEOC guidance makes clear that employees must discuss whether reasonable accommodations available to employees who cannot get the vaccine due to a disability or due to religious belief. There they do put it in there. So that's hopeful. Okay, it's in there. So that religious exemption to vaccination for our children to go to public schools affects adults too. I want my adult friends or people who think I'm crazy, out of my mind, conspiracy theorist, anti-vaxxer, whatever it is you want to call me. I'm none of those things. Look, my child was injured by a vaccine. That was what brought me into this fight. Plus, I believe in the Constitution and my inalienable rights to tell the government, no thanks, I don't want your medical products that you're purchasing and making profits, because all of these legislators are connected to these companies. I'm not even talking about Annie Huntress Lamont right now. That's a whole nother show, and how the Lamonts are profiting off of, they're going to profit off of testing, tracking, tracing, vaccination. It makes my head spin. But anyway, let's focus on House Speaker Matthew Ritter, and this is the company who he's a partner with, Shipman and Goodwin. So, employers, let me go over here. I'm sorry if you guys can't read along with me. I want to blow it up more, but it's not blowing up well enough to cover it in the whole screen. So, okay, so employers must also determine if a disabled individual cannot be vaccinated would be a direct threat to the workplace by assessing the duration of the risk, the nature of the severity of the potential harm, the likelihood that the potential harm will occur, the imminence of the potential harm. Ultimately, if no reasonable accommodation is available, e.g. remote work, and the individual's presence would constitute a direct threat to the workplace, the EEOC guidance states that the individual's employment can be terminated. Such decisions can be complicated. However, employers may want to consult their legal counsel before taking such action. Now here, listen to this one. Given those considerations, should our businesses mandate vaccines for employees? Not all employees are alike, and the answer to this question may be a business judgment that turns on a number of factors, including the type of industry the company is in, whether employees can work remotely, whether an employer is unionized, whether an employer is prepared to manage such a program, and how such a policy will be received by employees. Some employers may decide to implement the same approach that they use for seasonal flu, strong encouragement, but no mandates. Other employers have already decided that the time is now right, and the risk is too great not to require employees to take preventative measures, such as getting the flu or COVID vaccine. Notice how they put the flu in there too. So you can have a situation where you are going to be told you got to take the flu shot and the COVID shot, and you got to do the flu shot, we know, annually, and they don't even know how long the COVID shot immunity lasts for. Well, maybe a few weeks. I mean, this is like, they're admitting it in their own paperwork. I did a show about this. You could go back through my page if they're still up there, if Facebook hasn't taken them down. You can go on my YouTube channel. You can find these videos there. I have all of the links to the FDA, the Pfizer BioNTech mRNA vaccine, and the Moderna mRNA vaccine that have been issued emergency usage authorization. Okay, so you should go read that document because it's important. All right, it's important that you read that document because I had a public school teacher message me today. Okay, I'm going to read you part of her message from the superintendent in the state of Connecticut. Okay, I'm going to read her message to me from her superintendent about vaccines. I'm going to read part of it, actually. So, but before I do that, I'm going to finish reading to you Shipman and Goodman, which is the company that Matthew Ritter, our representative and incoming House Speaker has a lot of power in the state of Connecticut. He packed the committees so that he's hopeful that he's going to be able to get the religious exemption removed. This is going to take protections away from our children. This is going to take protections away from people who are employed with companies that may want to vaccinate you with this experimental COVID vaccine and the flu vaccine as well. So Shipman lawyers are addressing many of these questions already with employers, including hospitals, essential workers, manufacturers, schools, and offices. You hear that? Let me read this to you again, because this is Matthew Ritter, incoming House Speaker's company he's a partner in. I mean, he doesn't own it, but he's a partner there, okay? So he's upper level there. Shipman lawyers are addressing many of these questions already with employers, including hospitals, essential workers, manufacturers, schools, and offices. Our multidisciplinary COVID-19 vaccine working group is available to address not just the employment law issues, but privacy concerns, litigation risks, health and safety, industry-specific areas. Members of our team, and then it just goes and lists them. No, Matt Ritter isn't on there. Of course he wouldn't be. He's in a different area of their law firm. They've got a lot of stuff that they do. No, he's not in there. It's not that in your face, right? But still, he is a partner there. Whether he's going to actually be working on the legislative parts that Shipman and Goodman may be working on with our government it's mind-blowing. How could you not see the conflict of interest in this? This is crazy. So among others, notice that? Among others, Matthew Ritter, incoming House Speaker. But anyway, that's me putting that in there. Now that guidance has been forthcoming from the government, Ned Lamont is ruling our state via fiat. Let me just tell you briefly that Ned Lamont is very heavily connected into the health and technology financial tech field via his wife, Annie Huntress Lamont, who is one of the founding members of Oak Healthcare FinTech. And they have principal holdings in Sema4, which is a big test maker. I've talked about this with my friend Victoria Eloise. We've talked extensively about the Lamonts and corruption and testing, vaccines, and tracking and tracing, okay? So it's like we have Lamont and we have Ritter. It's like a perfect storm of a really scary thing for the people of the state of Connecticut, in my opinion. So here we go. So we're planning a webinar. Ooh. Hear this, guys? Maybe I wonder if this has happened. No, it hasn't happened. Listen to this, guys. No guidance has been forthcoming. Now that guidance has been forthcoming from the government, we're planning a webinar for a date in January 21 to address many of these questions. Save the date and watch for a registration email after the holidays. I wonder how we could get into that webinar. Okay, we're also hosting a webinar as part of our manufacturing series. Really? Emerging compliance and legal threats to manufacturers. Oh my God, you can't make this up! Oh my God, I get so upset with this. This is just like really, really disturbing, okay? This is really disturbing. So the panelists, including, I'm not sure of these people, we could go and look them up. Change Gardner, counselor, blah, blah, blah. That's not all that important. But aerospace will discuss issues. Like MB Aerospace will discuss vaccination issues. So these links are in my comments. You can go and check this out yourself. I've got more Shipman and Goodman I want to share with you because it's just so much fun checking out Shipman and Goodman. Let's see. So they represent all these kinds of, these companies and stuff, these drugs and medical devices, right? So one thing that really upsets me is that I had a friend who got seriously injured. Let me see. These are the attorneys. No, where is it? Overview. Here. So this is some of the stuff that they're basically fighting for, the big medical industry, these corporations, pharmaceutical companies who have products that injure people. So defense victory in the trial of a North District of Texas in the first case involving our client's hip implantment. Summary judgment win in a hip implantment case in Maryland. This one really here's another one. Summary judgment win in a case involving an antipsychotic medication in the District of Columbia. Those psychiatric meds are freaking dangerous and they prescribe them like candy. And this company defends the pharmaceuticals companies for harming innocent people whose lives are ruined and shattered. And this is incoming House Speaker Matthew Ritter's place of employment where he is a partner, Shipman and Goodman. This is disturbing. Okay, successfully disposing of this really bothered me because I had a friend who had this pelvic mesh and got very, very sick from it. And she was in a hospital numerous times. And I never seen somebody so sick. And I felt so very sorry for her. And she suffered and she suffered and she suffered. But listen to this. Successfully disposing of dozens of female pelvic mesh cases filled in Southern District of West Virginia. Does this place sound like it has the best interest of the people? Does Matthew Ritter sound like he's got the best interests of Hartford, of Connecticut, of the people of this state? Let's take a gander up here. I just want to show you this really quickly, actually. My dogs are barking like crazy. Let me take you to this video real quick. I'm going to share you with this so that they stop barking, and I'm going to come back in and tell you, here we go. I'm going to share this video and then I'm going to come back in and fill you in on Shipman and Goodman, unless they stop barking. They're still barking. Let me just show this to you really quickly if you can handle the dogs barking in the background. I apologize for that. Okay, just look at this stuff here. Look at this stuff. So life sciences, actually I can't. I'm going to share this video with you real quick. This is a testimony. You guys can watch it and then I'll go back to Shipman and Goodman. This is SB 5044.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Brendan Grant and I live in Killingly, Connecticut. I am in firm opposition to HB 5044. The right to peaceably practice one's faith is the most fundamental pillar of freedom in this nation, and according to Connecticut state law, I do not need to identify myself with any organized religion. My faith and spirituality are my own to keep. I believe I'm going to touch upon a subject that has yet to be talked about today. My wife and 3 children and I are passionate vegans. We support an ecologically sustainable future for this planet. We believe that a plant-based organic diet is the healthiest way for us to eat. We do not support animal cruelty or factory farming. This has been an enlightening journey for us over the last few years. We have found ourselves spiritually reconnected with nature, and our moral compass has never felt stronger. This is our creed, our set of beliefs which guide our actions and decisions. We do not consume animal products of any kind, and that includes animal products contained within vaccines. There is no such thing as a vegan vaccine. This is not an abuse of the religious exemption. This is an application of our right to peacefully exercise our faith. If the state treats this in any other way, then it is discrimination against our First Amendment rights. Why should vegans be discriminated against when it comes to vaccines? Veganism is one of the fastest growing movements on the planet. It's not going anywhere. This bill not only promotes discrimination, it also promotes segregation, invasion of privacy, and an erosion of our most basic and essential rights as humans and American citizens to religion and education. This bill is drastically and dangerously short-sighted, and there is no substantiation for its existence. I testify on behalf of my family to say that we do not consent to this medical tyranny that is being fueled by a corrupt and criminally convicted industry that lacks all sense of transparency and liability for its vaccines that the state is trying to mandate to our children. If you compromise the Bill of Rights, then you dissolve the very foundation upon which the Union stands. The preservation of individual liberty should never be trampled or outweighed by political interests, media propaganda following pharma's narrative, unlawful censorship, and forced compliance. My wife and I already homeschool our children, but we are here today with our children in solidarity and support for everyone here who is also in opposition, because if you pass this bill, then who suddenly becomes the next health threat? Homeschoolers? Adults? I will finish by stating that there is no public health emergency in Connecticut. The only emergency that needs to be addressed is the attempt to dismantle our constitutional rights. I urge this committee to please stop this bill and to preserve the integrity of the Constitution that you swore an oath to protect when you took office in our proud state. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And that your kids are staying up till late. You Representative Hennessy?
I've been like having heart palpitations all day long with the testimony that's been presented, and definitely yours. But I think the greatest testimony that is presented is your children, and your children and the children of other parents that have come up. The beauty and the love that surrounds them is so beautiful.
Thank you.
And thank you for testifying.
That was that was absolutely one of my favorite. I just want to say to all of the activists, to all of the families, the moms, the dads who came out, who stood out there, who testified, who stood up for medical freedom. I'm so proud to stand with you. You give me hope and reassure my faith in we the people that we really can rise above some of these very dark, nefarious powers. That father was testifying also late in the evening, I'm pretty sure. There was so much testimony, so much really good testimony there. I have a lot of videos that I'm going to be sharing in the few days coming up through the new year, then take a couple days off, and then I'm going to be sharing a bunch more videos as well as doing a lot of lives. Also wanting to talk to people if they want to come on live with me and talk to me about what it means for them to be able to make their own medical decisions and what it would be like to have the government override your own personal sovereign rights to say no thank you to a pharmaceutical product, especially to something like the COVID vaccine, which is an experimental vaccine. And there's so much more about that I want to say, but I don't want to get too sidetracked. So the next thing I want to get back to, now that my dog stopped barking, is let's go back to Shipman and Goodman. So much fun here at Shipman and Goodman. Let me take you back to this. Now, I'm going to take you here. Let me just get this here. Okay. So this is, you guys got to go check this out. You can't make this stuff up. You all need to go in here and you need to read around their website. I'm telling you, it'd be quite the education for you. So these are, I'm sorry, here I get a little confused. So just going to go up onto these different things. So this is healthcare. Financing for skilled nursing facility. These are just some of the things they did. And this one isn't the one that really freaked me out. Let me just pull this up. Life sciences. Now this was the one that was really, life sciences here. This one really screwed, it's just like a really human resources, employment, or no, that's not exactly what it was. That it was here. Let me just bring you back over to here. See, they've got this little menu over here, right? And I can't easily read that. the way I'm situated. Let me just see if I can move this out of the way. So I'm not sure if you guys can, every time I'm trying to move this out of my way so I can read this to you. So life sciences, oops, and I keep clicking on that. Sorry about that, guys. I just want to show you just their little thing here. Listen to this. Acquisition of life science research company. What is that? Acquisition of life sciences research company. So they were able to acquire that for somebody, for some entity, whatever that is. Acquisition and financing of muscular skeletal tissue business. What the hell is that? What is this? What is this? Right? So I'm going to click on that. I click on that. Represented high K partners in connection with the formation of financing for, I can't say that, biologics, Azeo Biologics Inc., a regenerative medicine company, and the acquisition of Tissue Banks International sorry about this, it's hard for me to say that, musculoskeletal tissue, if I'm saying that correctly or not, division. So develops and delivers customized tissue products for use in orthopedic, spinal, sports medicine, and dermal applications. What? This is so strange, guys. Like, let me just tell you, okay? So this is so very strange. And then they're developing next generation medical technology. Click on that. And you guys can go and you can check it all out. I want you guys to do this. We all need to do this. We need to look in and utilize the tools that we still have access to, and fight like hell to preserve our right to spread this information around and talk about it, share it with each other, and investigate it ourselves, because the media is an epic failure. So this represents CyVec Inc., which is engaged in the development of a novel multiplex platform system for immunoassays for measuring annulets in biological samples, particularly to serve the market needs of biomaker validation throughout the life sciences and clinical diagnostic fields. We provide CyVec with general counsel and advice on corporate governance, finance, equity compensation, tax contracts, including research development agreements with other life science companies and universities. Most recently, we represented CyVec in its $3 million Series C preferred stock financing, in which all of its existing investors, including Connecticut Innovations, participated. Gosh, guys, I don't know. This is Matthew Ritter's company where he's employed, and he is a partner, Matthew Ritter. Yeah. So there's all kinds of the drugs and medical devices, which I took you to. Now there's another lady I wanted to take you to. Now, she was, where did she go? I'm going to go over here for a second. There's this lady. Her name is Joan. Maybe she's, yeah, there she is. This lady. Oh, man. So this lady is what she is doing is she's helping the state to, offer the best means of tracking, tracing, and compliance with COVID stuff. So Joan is a prolific educator and writer. Over the course of the COVID pandemic, Joan and her team have delivered regular, meaningful guidance on the rapid-fire regulatory developments emerging from federal and state agencies. These resources, developed and distributed freely to thousands of contacts, have helped healthcare providers, employers, and other organizations ensure compliance, mount practical, effective responses to operational and care delivery challenges, and pursue opportunities to help combat the novel coronavirus. Joan has also provided assistance to individuals and organizations without access to legal resources. Oh, how nice of her. A mother initiative. She's volunteered to work with manufacturers and suppliers, to help with PPE. Well, that's all noble and whatnot. There's one more thing. Joan serves as general special outside counsel to clients in almost every sector of the industry, including acute, general, specialty, and academic medical centers, home health agency, hospice providers, behavioral health, substance use disorders providers, durable medical equipment providers, clinical laboratories, and life science companies. She provides full spectrum counseling in the following. So it just gives all of her stuff, what she has, what she's doing. And these guys are not working for your benefit. These guys are working for the benefit of the major corporation. This isn't for the people. It's not like, oh yay, Matthew Ritter he's such a great guy. He works for this company that does all this stuff to combat the the very powerful pharmaceutical industry. No, he works for a lawyer lobbying firm that actually assists the pharmaceutical companies in taking away our rights and, actively working on lawsuits that are brought about by people who are injured by products that have hurt them from these pharmaceutical companies. You cannot make this up. So a couple more things I want to share with you before I finish this live. I don't want to go too long. But so we know that Matthew Ritter, his father, was House Speaker and is also a lawyer and lobbyist at a major firm. I'll do more on him another day. But I pulled up his mom, Christine E. Keller, who was appointed to the Supreme Court in Connecticut. Okay. So, Christine E. Keller, one of Connecticut's longest serving judges, won confirmation as a justice of the state Supreme Court on Thursday on a 34-1 vote by the Senate after a unanimous endorsement a day earlier by the House. The ranking Republican on the Legislative's Judiciary Committee noted her family connections. But that's no big deal. There's no nepotism or, it's stuff like that. She's going to be totally unbiased and objective, even though her husband and her son both work for very powerful law and lobbying firms that benefit the uber wealthy, rich people behind the pharmaceutical industry. Okay? But that's nothing to see here, guys. This is a Republican. Don't get stuck on party, guys. This is not about party. People need to break the two-party duopoly. You need to break that idea out of your head right now. You need to judge each person as the person and how they vote. We've had some good Democrats here in the state of Connecticut. Not many. I'm sorry to say it. Democrats in Connecticut are really obnoxious right now. I'm not happy with many of them. There are two that I think are really, really awesome. I hope to meet more awesome Democrats, okay? That's my hope, that we're going to flip 4 of them on the health committee, and they're going to be really good for the people, old school type of Democrats. I was a lifelong Democrat for many, many years until not that long ago, and I've had it. I've had it. And the duopoly, the divided people is really bad for us in general. So just to note that. So this Republican said, where was I here? So yeah, it's no big deal. The ranking Republican on the legislature's Judiciary Committee noted her family connections. She's the mother of House Majority Leader Matt Ritter, Democrat Hartford, and the wife of the former House Speaker Thomas D. Ritter. But Senator John Kissel, Republican of Enfield, raised the connections only to deem them irrelevant. Right. But you know what? One of my favorite legislators in Connecticut is shout out to, he was the only one of my favorite legislators in Connecticut, Senator Rob Sampson, Republican Wolcott. Oh man, he's the type of legislator you want in all our districts, right? Because the work he's done, from what I've seen him do, and standing up for the people in these lockdowns, with medical freedom, with all of it, he's just a really solid representative of the people who actually knows and understands the Constitution. We're the Constitution state. You would think we'd have more legislators be part of the Constitution state as well. So, Senator Rob Sampson, Republican of Wolcott, cast the dissenting votes against Keller and Cradle. He offered no rationale on the Senate floor, but he said later that he did not view either jurist as being sufficiently committed to interpreting the Constitution as written. The whole living and breathing document argument, I think they are way on the other side of it for me, he said. That's Rob Sampson. He's the real deal, guys. We want more of him in Connecticut. So I'm going to be winding down. I've got a couple more things I want to show you. This might be my last thing. Okay. And one thing real quick that I wanted to, let's share this first, and I'm going to read to you a little bit. No, you're not going to let me look at this now? Oh, isn't that obnoxious? Hopefully they let me look at this. Did before. Okay. So hopefully you guys can see that. let me just click here so see what you're seeing. Okay, good. You guys can pretty much see that. New York ponders mandatory vaccination if herd immunity fails. Well, if you guys tuned in yesterday and I had some audio glitches and I apologize for that, but the WHO has come out and quietly changed the meaning of herd immunity. So the WHO in November changed the meaning of herd immunity, saying that herd immunity is only achievable through vaccination. That came from the WHO. They just changed that recently. I did a show on that last night. So New York ponders mandatory vaccination if herd immunity fails. This is just crazy. So according to the WHO, there is no herd immunity. It's already failed. So that's just something to think about there. So New York already has a bill, guys. There's a huge protest. I'm planning on going as long as it doesn't conflict with what we've got going on here in my home state, because I got to be here fighting in Connecticut. But New York is the state I was born and raised in, so I often go down to New York and help them out as the New Yorkers come up here and help us out. It's really beautiful how that happens. But hopefully I'm able to be there. But yeah, they have a bill to mandate the vaccine across the board. And as I just showed you from the Shipman and Goodman news publication, what they're saying about mandating vaccines to for employers to mandate it to their employees, which is really quite scary and alarming. So you know, they're going to be trying to push this bill through, and as you, like I said, the WHO, they're God of all gods of, you know, health mandates and what they're going to follow. Yeah, they've already said that there's no such thing as herd immunity. So this is just very interesting times. So I'm gonna wrap it up, but I want to share with you guys. This came to me from a teacher, and I just want to read a little bit of it to you. Hold on a second while I pull it up here. Let's see. Apologize if it takes me just a second. I want to pull this up really quick. So this came from a teacher. Okay. I get a lot of emails and I just had it up here, so I apologize that okay, no, not that one. So I got a letter from a teacher, and unfortunately now I'm having difficulty pulling it back up. I got a letter from a teacher. This came from the superintendent. Let me see if I can pull this up on my computer. So this particular teacher sent me a message today, and the superintendent of the school, I hate the way Messenger operates. It's not the best mail system at all, because you can't categorize or easily plan your messages here. So the superintendent sent out, I don't know, where the heck did that go? Gosh darn it. The superintendent sent out a letter to this teacher saying that basically they had to get, you know, they're going to be getting the COVID vaccine. And now I cannot find it, and that's very aggravating. So maybe I'm just gonna have to close out without sharing this letter to you. But what happened is the superintendent sent out a letter basically saying that they are going to be getting teachers ready for the vaccine and how they're going to vaccinate. And I wish I could share that letter. That'll be for another show, because I'm not going to keep you here while I'm trying to find a message that I can't easily find in Messenger, which is so frustrating. I will find that letter later. This came out of the Hebron School District, and it's basically Hebron is planning a vaccination program for their teachers. In this letter, it was saying things like the teachers were supposed to report about what they did if they went out with their family, and the superintendent told the teachers that they couldn't be, and the school district, it was for everybody basically, I think, and it's saying that they couldn't be with their family to be ready for these vaccination program and blah, blah, blah. Next show I do, I will pull that up and I will share that letter. So thank you guys for hanging out. Yay. Hey, Alex, I can pull up your comments now. So I'm going to pull up Alex's comment. Nice to see you, Alex. So rise up and stand up and fight as one. Amen to that. That's a great thing to end the show on. We all got to come together. Let's let go of party. Let's let go of the two-party duopoly. Let's rise together as a people to stand for medical freedom and choice, to stand for liberty, to stand for our inalienable sovereign rights as human beings, to say no to pharmaceutical products, to say no to legislators with conflicts of interest, to retake back our state and our government, because it's supposed to be a government for and by the people. Right now, it's a government for and by the aristocrats, because that's what they are. So I'll be back live again. I'm definitely going to pull that teacher's letter up because it was really disturbing and I wanted to read it to you. It was like something out of George Orwell's 1984. I can't even believe that's happening in our state, and it seems to be happening at such a rapid fire pace. So we need to really be prepared to stand strong, stand and fight back. January 6th, 9 a.m., the Capitol building, Hartford, Connecticut. Join us. Be there. Please bring your friends, bring your family, bring everybody. We need to plan lots of actions. We need to plan a lot. We cannot go and testify. We need to show up. We need to use whatever tools or techniques that we have, or we're going to lose our inalienable rights to our bodily autonomy. And that just absolutely terrifies me, okay? And we look at Shipman and Goodman, who they're representing and what they're doing, and Matthew Ritter, incoming House Speaker, being a partner there is very disturbing. When we look at Governor Lamont and Annie Huntress Lamont and their connection to the pharmaceutical industry and the medical tech field with Oak Healthcare FinTech, that's Annie Lamont's company. She's made billions of dollars in the health technology and financial industries. She is a technocrat. This is what technocracy looks like, okay? This is not a republic. This is turning into a technocracy, which is worse than communism, okay? Check out Patrick Wood's work. He does excellent work in technocracy, news, and trends. Patrick Wood, technocracy, news, and trends. Go read about technocracy. Check out Klaus Schwab, because he's a technocrat. And so Connecticut, we're in the belly of the beast. If you're in the state of Connecticut fighting right now, God has a purpose for you, and that is for you to fight like hell for our medical freedom and our rights. And on that note, I'm going to say goodnight, guys. Stay strong until we meet again.